good to be in the presence of Jesus on this Good Friday. Can't think of anywhere else to be. If I do my job correctly, yes, we'll do this, but much later. I wanted this in your hands as I preach, because I'm actually going to preach about the communion, and you'll understand. If I do my job well, you're going to see the magnificence of Jesus again. If I do my job well, you're going to be filled with faith again in Jesus. So I'm hoping to take you on a little bit of a journey. And I want to remind you today of 2 days that are significant in your life. 2 days. One, the day that Jesus died. So 1,988 years ago, most people who studied chronology, they say between the 1st and the 3rd of April was the Good Friday back then in the year AD 33. Sorry, 33. AD 33. So that's 1988 years ago. Alright? So I want to take you to that day. But then there's another day. Because on that day when Jesus died, everything changed. Agreed? Everything changed. There was a shift in humanity that we are still living in. And then I want to take you to, if you're a Jesus follower, and if you are a believer in Jesus. There was a day, for me it was in 1975, when I put my faith in Jesus and what He did all those years ago. So I want to remind you of that day and your day today. Just came up with that now. It was funny in my head. And so, you see, we have the tendency to forget. Certainly I do. And there have been many studies on things that trigger our memories. I can guarantee you, if I play a song, some song that you would remember, immediately you would start to think about things that you did while that song was playing, or places that you were. The studies say that a sound, feeling, smell triggers memories. I can guarantee you, those of you who are old, if I take you to the school that you studied, that you went to school in, and I walk you down the corridors into classrooms, you'll remember people and things that happened, just triggered, which you probably can't remember now. And that's how our mind works, because we tend to forget. So what we have done, I've got this memory. My dad used to, when we went to the airport, to say goodbye to somebody, to say hello to somebody. For my dad, it was a prime opportunity to just make a little event out of that. So we used to sing the song, "Come Bless the Lord." Anybody remember "Come Bless the Lord"? Right? Some of you good old faithful oldies. Right? It was the most embarrassing thing for me. So he would call the people together, and then he would sing the song, basically make a declaration in the airport, and then we pray and bless or welcome the people. But it was like, "Come bless the Lord." I can't be in a meeting without thinking of that. Yeah, that won't go well. So we have this ability to remember things, and we have built into us how we made is the things that help us remember, and the Bible is full of them. We have feasts and festivals. Today we are celebrating the day that Jesus died on the cross. And on Sunday, we're going to celebrate the day that Jesus was resurrected. Those are monuments. We in our country, on the 27th of April in 1994, we voted. It was the first post-apartheid election. Do you remember that? Do you remember standing in the queue with all of us? Do you remember the feeling of, let's come together and build this nation? Do you remember that? Two of you. South Africans, most of you. And so, the things that trigger your memory, there's something of pride that wells up in when we talk about what we call Freedom Day. That's what we do. So we celebrate these things, and they are in world events. There are moments, and there's the day of remembrance when the First World War ended. It's celebrated still throughout the world, and that's where they have this, lest we forget, this little red poppy has become a symbol of remembering those who died in the First World War. It ended in 1918 on the 11th of November. Interesting, and 10 million people died in that war. And people still remember it today. It's interesting that the same year, 1918, was the year that the Spanish flu hit, and 500 million people died in the same year, the end of the war. And so we have these days of remembrance, and we see that when God took the Israelites through the Jordan River. Remember this flooding, and Caleb, Joshua said, let's go through, and the water parted. It was a serious miracle in the flood. They came through. Just the fact that they had come through the flood water had all the nations quivering in their boots. Massive miracle. And they come through, and God said to them, take the memorial stones, put them there, and put the cross stone, and God said, this is going to be a day of remembering. This is the place when you come past here and you see these stones, tell the next generation that this is what God did. And the Bible goes on to the end of Joshua, and it says, when all those had died, even those who surpassed Joshua in age, when all of them had died who had seen and known the works of God, they served God. The Bible says, and Israel served God all the while, the people who knew the works of God. They remembered what God had done. Do you see how important it is for us to remember the things that God has done? And so today, this is what I want to do. I want to, if I do my job well, every time you take communion, I'm going to give you a grid. I'm going to give you a whole lot of memory. So every time you go back to that day and your day, because this, the Lord's Supper, the Eucharist, the communion meal, this is a thing of remembrance. Jesus said, remember me. When you do this, when you take this, remember me. So that's what we're going to do today. Everyone on board? Let's go. You see, the communion meal is about understanding salvation. It's about looking again at salvation. Let me say it like this. If our covenant with Jesus can be likened to marriage, the engagement is like the private promise that you're going to get married and I'm going to give myself to you. The wedding celebration is the initial declaration, proclamation, and celebration of our union as a couple. And your anniversary, if you celebrate it once a year, or once a month, or once a week, or every day, your anniversary is the continual remembering of that which you did, your commitment and your celebration. Right? So, in our journey with Jesus, when we come to faith in Christ, when we believe in Jesus, that is like our commitment to Jesus, like our, in a sense, our engagement. When we get baptized, that's the initial public declaration in front of everyone and in front of the heavenlies that you are bound to Jesus, you are joined to Jesus. At baptism, that's the first declaration, proclamation, and celebration of what happened in the heart, the hidden thing. Now, and interestingly enough, you believe in your heart, and what you believe in is that He is Lord. Jesus is Savior and Lord. And so with believing He is Lord, you give up all your own rights to do what you want, how you want, and now you are choosing a new life that I'm going to now follow behind you. And so it's interesting enough that the very next thing you do is obey in baptism, because He's commanded those who believe to be baptized. So if anybody is a believer in Jesus and is not baptized, please get baptized. It's a command. If you believe that He's Lord, then believe what He said and listen to what He said. Baptism. And then communion is the anniversary. Remembering continually, and oh my word, you need to be reminded what this is all about. What that day and your day meant and is all about. You with me? Let's move on. So what do we remember? 1 Corinthians 11:24 says, and when He had given thanks, He broke the bread. He said, this is my body. Do it, when you eat it, do it in remembrance of me. So we remember the body. So I'm going to give you 4 little points here to make it easy. So whenever you do this, you can think of 4 things. Remember the body, Jesus' actual physical body. Remember the body that it represents, the church, the body of Christ. Remember the blood, and do it joyfully. That's my 4 points in my sermon in a nutshell. So we remember in Philippians 2:6-8 it says, Jesus, who though He was in form God, did not count equality with God a thing to be grasped, but He emptied Himself. So here's Jesus, God. He didn't hold on to His high, exalted position. Just think for a moment what it would have been like to know everything, have all power. By your word you create, and now He doesn't hold on to that position, but He comes to be as a man. He reduced. Just think of how exalted that position and how low being a person, a human, is. Right? And it says He doesn't hold on to it as in something to be. He was equal to God, but He doesn't hold on to that. So He, in a sense, reduces Himself to come in a human form, in a body. He emptied Himself. Not only does He says, not only did He just come, He didn't come in and He wasn't like the president of South Africa or the president of the world. He came as a servant. And not only that, He humbled Himself to the degree that He actually came and He died as a person. Not only just a death, but the worst kind of death on the cross. That's what that scripture says. Why? Why? It can only be love. It can only be love. So here we have elevated, all-knowing, all-powerful God reduces Himself to a lesser person, even dying and even crucified by those whom He created on the cross. I'm taking you back to AD 33. I want you to have a context for what happened there. So we remember the body. See, Jesus actually, He wasn't a theoretical person. He was actually came as a person in an actual physical, and He was. We're looking back at not a story. We're looking back to a historical date. It's an event. It's something that happened. There are things that happen in our life that change our life forever. The 23rd of December 1979, I was 10 years old. My mom died after a car accident that she had too. That changed my life forever. Sad moment, still sad about it. 14th of October 1994, my dad died in an accident. I remember trying to keep him alive, breathing into him, trying to keep him alive, trying everything in my power to keep him alive. Sad moment. AD 33, Jesus died, but I know he rose again, and I know now I'm seeing what he did for me. That's no longer a sad moment. But we've got to go back there to see how we work is when we see the Bible's understanding of belief, of conviction, of faith. Faith, Hebrews 11:1 says, faith is without evidence, believing, seeing. Faith is when we don't have evidence, but we believe and see. Seeing what can't be seen. So we remember an actual day that happened roughly 2,000 years ago. Jesus was betrayed by Judas, one of his. That happened, fulfilling the prophecy many, many years before by Zechariah, who prophesied he would be betrayed. He was arrested undercover. He was run through a succession of false trials with false charges, with false witnesses, and sentenced to death. They did it at night, under the cover of night, and not in public, which was against their law. They murdered him unjustly. Jesus was blindfolded and beaten. They say he was beaten and bruised. He was stripped naked. They would take, before they flogged a prisoner or someone condemned, they would tie them up, their hands above their head, and they would tie them up there. They would strip them naked. It was a thing to bring shame and to disgrace them. We got to see that. We've got to realize that our shame was put on him. He went through all that stuff, innocent. Our shame was put on him. He was mocked. Then they flogged him. They scourged him. Do you know that there was a law that you couldn't whip more than 40 times because it would kill the person? So they say Jesus was whipped 39 or 40 times. And it was that whip that had many things like tails on it, and it had hooks on it. And here's Jesus getting punished. You've got to see Jesus getting punished. Why? Because of me. Because of you. I'm taking you back. That's why he did it. Our sin was put upon him. He took the punishment. And so the guy who's whipping, he whips. The hooks are in. He rips it out. By the end of that, from here, all the way down the back, the buttocks and the bottom of the legs, you can see the bones. It's gruesome. It was punishment. The clearer you see, can you feel the love of Jesus? Can you feel something as I'm talking? Can you feel like, oh my word, the gravity of what he did for me? Don't think Jesus died for sins generally. Your own sin. See it being put on him and him enduring that. That's what this is about. We live like that. We have a weekly reminder. It's called a Sabbath. It's the day that we acknowledge him first. It's about Lordship. We have this as often as we can. A couple times a month at least. To remind us. If we live like that, oh my word. He was scourged. That Isaiah prophesied he would be marred beyond human likeness. He was mocked with the crown of thorns and the purple robe because the inscription was put over his head, King of Kings and Lord of Lords. He did this as a substitute. He was the substitute. We should have been punished, but he did it in our place. And when we remember his physical body and the beating and the pain he endured, we also remember the promise. The promise. And it goes like this, 1 Peter 2:24. He himself bore our sins in his body on the tree, that we might die to sin and live to righteousness, to glory. By his wounds we have been healed. There was a price purchased for our healing. Our healing. So we remember his body, his actual physical body, when we come on and we take communion. Secondly, we remember that we are part of a body. The Bible talks about, in this passage, the well-known passage for communion meal is 1 Corinthians 11. 1 Corinthians chapter 10, it talks about, is there not one bread that is divided between? Is there not one cup that is shared? Everyone's not a very corona thing, right? Okay. It's talking about actually we are one body. And so we remember Jesus' physical body, but remember his spiritual body in the church. This is what it says. 1 Corinthians 11. And the context here is he's just correcting some problems, because these guys have been coming and having this communion meal, but actually they have not been honoring the body. He actually goes so far to say, do you despise the church of God? That's how far he goes. Are you actually despising the church of God, the body of God? And so we remember that the body, that we are part of the body, that we are joined. Like we join to Jesus, we join to one another. And so when I act in a way that I'm indifferent, that's dishonoring the body. And I act in a way that actually I'm independent, I can just do my own thing. Whatever I do, what is that to you? That's dishonoring the body. You are part of us. The way you live your life affects us, because we are one. We are under one name, one God. And so when we do this, we remind ourselves, the way that I'm living, am I honoring this? Am I honoring who Jesus came? The family of God, the church. And so it's a place of renewing our commitment to Jesus, but it's a place of renewing our commitment to each other. Paul goes so far to say, he says, if you come to the altar, now this can be the altar of worship, but also can be this altar here. And you remember that you have a broken relationship. He goes as far as to say, stop it, go and be reconciled to your brother, and then come back and carry on doing what you were going to do. You see, when we live with this, Jesus, he was the ultimate forgiver. He was the ultimate forgiver. When we live with this and we see Jesus and we see that day and our day, we can't live with bitterness, unforgiveness, unreconciled relationships. It's not a thing. We have this clearly in your view. You know about what I mean by this. Not about this, the communion beyond. We are joined as one body. Amazing thing as well, that Corinthian church was made up of Jews and Gentiles. And so Paul was saying, guys, cultures that are so far apart in Christ must be one. In fact, stronger than a blood family person. The unity that Jesus brings should be as strong, if not stronger. Doesn't matter what tribe, tongue, or nation you're from. And so we rejoice because we are joined together as one body, one tribe, one nation. And so we remember Jesus' physical body, we remember Jesus' spiritual body, the church, the community that we follow. Number 3, we remember the blood. 11, 25, 26. In the same way, he took the cup after the supper, saying, this is the cup of my new covenant in my blood. Do this as often as you drink it. Remember me. But we remember that He bled and died for my sin. I personalize it. So when you come and you partake of this meal, you personalize it. Your personal sin was put on it. We remember that it's because of the blood, the power of sin is broken. The power of sin is broken forever. We remember when we come, we remember the blood. It's the blood that completely breaks the power of our past. In Christ, we can walk away from our past, no matter what it is. We can be free from our past. We can live with a clear conscience. We ransomed. It's the blood that has been the price paid. I'm not my own now. He's bought me. I was in the slave market of sin, and I was ransomed by the highest price, the blood of Jesus. We don't, if you read that verse, it says, verse 26, for as often as you eat this bread and drink this cup, you proclaim the Lord's death until He comes. So we don't only eat and drink, but we proclaim. What do we proclaim? We proclaim that we are a body bought from every tribe, every nation, every tongue, and united by the blood of Jesus. We remind ourselves, when we come and take the meal, we remind ourselves that actually we are a multi-ethnic, multi-languaged group of people from all over the world that we come under one head for His mission, complete His mission. So we proclaim the body, and we proclaim His death and His resurrection. We continue proclaiming His mission. But it's a recommitment to Him, it's a recommitment to each other, it's a recommitment to His mission. We do this until He comes again. That's the joy. The last point, we remember His actual body, His spiritual body, the blood, and we do it joyfully. Why do we do it joyfully? Because He is not dead any longer. You are not a slave any longer. You are sons and daughters of God. And one day, that last trump will sound, and we will be united with that great multitude coming from every tribe and tongue and nation coming together to worship Him forever and ever and ever and ever. And that's why we can do it. We can come and we can remember. And yes, it's a weighty thing that we're remembering, but it's a joyous one. Because He's not dead. We're not bound anymore. We're free. And actually we're going to one day join Him with every tribe and every tongue, that big multitude that comes together one day and worship and be in His presence forever and ever and ever. Won't you stand?